So, getting back on here, let me pause. Yes, I'm a fan of Beyond the Gates. So, I'm on my Facebook feed and I see a couple of things, and I actually saw something on the news tonight, too. And you can look it up if you want to. So, in my news feed, let me see, because they may have removed it. Let me make sure. Let me see if it's still in here before I say anything. Um, it's regarding Trump and something he did yesterday or last night, I would say. So, anyway, I will just go ahead and tell you. We'll start off with this. Well, earlier today, I was watching the news and it was breaking news at noon, I believe, or was it 4 o'clock? One of those that let me find his name because it escapes me right now. Um, let's see. So it's James Comey, Letitia James, and let me see. No, but anyway, it's gone. It's gone. And I don't think it's under my U.S. news feed either. No. There's so much news, it just keeps refreshing just like that. Uh, but uh, um, but another one of Trump's enemies was indicted today, so we'll see how that goes. But the other news piece that I was going to talk about, I'm sorry for wasting time. So it seems that Donald Trump, in the nearly finished new ballroom that he has created, spent $250 million of taxpayer money. Yes, $250 million of taxpayer money to hold a dinner for a specific group of 100 billionaires. Yes, 100 of them, for helping him raise the money to do some things for the $250 million ballroom and the destruction of the coveted and most beloved Rose Garden. That is what your president was doing yesterday evening. Instead of trying to reopen the government with his influence, he has already earmarked other people to be fired. Because you saw in the news a couple of days ago that the Department of Education pretty much gutted every single special needs employee in that department. They don't have jobs anymore. A couple of people that I know that work for the federal government out in Kansas City, the husband actually is compelled to go to work without pay. And no, he's not a TSA agent. But TSA people have to go to work. FAAs have to go to work. But some of them are making the hard choices about calling in sick because they can't afford to go to work. And that's essentially what it means to be living from paycheck to paycheck. But the other thing that happened in the news too is that this is a new threat from Donald Trump that he has sent letters out to all states ordering them to cut off SNAP benefits if the government is not reopened by November 1st. It's essentially 2 weeks from Saturday. And it was just discovered here in North Carolina that 7 counties were delayed in giving out the SNAP benefits to the tunes of millions of dollars. And they were talking about a communications error. And so, yeah, that's what's been going on. What's been going on? And then this coming Saturday is No King's Day, touted to be the biggest protest in American history across all 50 states. I actually have 2 meetings on Saturday, and I will not be able to participate in the protest, but I will be streaming it. I know that there are protests set up in my city of Charlotte, and no, Charlotte does not need the National Guard to come in to take care of our crime. We need to take care of our crime. We have elections going on. Early voting has started. So I'm encouraging everyone to go out and exercise their right to vote before it is gutted, because now North Carolina has openly said that they're going to redraw the maps yet again. And I'm not going to lay all this at the Republicans' feet, because the Republicans have done it before and the Democrats have done it before and redrawn the maps to whoever's in power's benefit. But the egregious thing about this is that it's being done in an off census year. The purpose of redrawing the districts is based on population movement. Sometimes states lose representation in the House, and sometimes states gained. But this is just out and out redlining and gerrymandering, so that the North Carolina General Assembly is going to redraw our districts to create a new Republican district, so that the Republicans will gain a seat in the House, to help shore up Donald Trump's hold on the House of Representatives. But they already know, and this is something that the governor of North Carolina, and it's written into law, the governor cannot veto this bill. So it automatically becomes law. Well, lawsuits have already been filed. But the problem is, the North Carolina Supreme Court is skewed with MAGA, boot-licking, and ring-kissing judges. 7 of them, I believe. One of whom, somebody who tried to unseat an incumbent, which would have made it 8-1. But I've always said, since when do judgeships have to be partisan? The law is the law. But again, bootlickers and ring kissers. And they have said that it is okay to gerrymander. This is one reason why the House of Representatives needs to be taken back from the Republicans, so that the House can go ahead and codify a law that stops all gerrymandering across the country. Oh, sure, it'll prevent Democrats from doing it, but it'll prevent Republicans from doing it too. And maybe that will start the conversation about why this country is so hung up on 2 political parties. I am fortunate enough to have lived in 2 states that allow me to register as unaffiliated, because I made a decision after the first election that I voted in that I have no use for the Republican and I have no use for the Democrats. I don't. I will side more times than not with the left, but I have voted for Republicans who've shown me that they do not support Donald Trump, and they support issues. And they have taught me to follow the money. Those Republicans have. But there is nothing about the Republican agenda that interests me. Nothing. There's nothing about the Democratic agenda that interests me. No. No. They don't care about gay people until it's time for the numbers. They don't care about people of color until it's time for the numbers. And now the Republicans are trying to say, well, we're the party of Lincoln, and black people were Republicans at one time. Yes, but the Republican Party of today is not the heir of the party of Lincoln. It's not. If you know your history, you know what happened in the 50s and early 60s during Jim Crow, thanks to Strom Thurmond, a senator from South Carolina, and a group who caucused as the Dixiecrats, some of the most bigoted Democrats who have ever walked the face of this earth. And they flipped. They went to the Republican side to try to flip the Republican Party and take over. But then those Republicans then flipped to the Democratic side, became Democrats to even it out. And so now we have the parties of today. The parties of today are the heirs of that transaction. But you don't have to believe me. You can look it up. Look it up for yourself. It is a fact. My parents lived through that. And most of us, and the kids that I grew up with, we grew up learning that in school, which they don't teach anymore. So this video is just a little something that I'm doing to remind you, elections do have consequences, and resistance is not futile. It is not. Resistance is not futile. If you don't believe me, wait until Saturday. Just wait until Saturday. People are pushing back in their own way. Airports did not respond and upload Kristi Noem's video to play over the TSA monitors so that while you're standing in line, you would listen to her blame Democrats for the government shutdown. So you'll be doing that in front of TSA agents who have to come to work who are not paid. The press corps for the Pentagon, the resistance was not futile. When Pete Hegseth decided to have all of them sign on a new protocol about what they can report and what they can't report, 99% of them turned around, handed in their access badges, and told Pete Hegseth essentially to kiss their collective ass. Yes, they all walked out. So no, resistance is not futile. Just exactly what is our brand of democracy, which is a constitutional republic, worth to you? Because I'm going to tell you, Turning Point USA is not going away. MAGAs are not going away. And those of us who stand against them, we need to rise and rise up to save our democracy from being destroyed. It is being dismantled on a daily basis, no matter where we speak. And particularly with the disenfranchisement of voting rights, the Supreme Court has heard the argument. And now the voting rights of people of color is now in the hands of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. That our right to vote is in his hands. That's a scary proposition. And then, of course, Clarence Thomas talking about he is set to go come after gay marriage. And I've said this before, as a child of interracially mixed parents who were children of interracially mixed marriages, I would happily go back to being a bastard to have the court case of Loving versus Virginia overturned so that Clarence Thomas's marriage becomes invalid. His marriage to a white woman can be invalid. So that Mitch McConnell's marriage to an Asian woman can be invalid. So that Vice President J.D. Vance's marriage to a woman of Indian descent can be invalidated. That his children then become bastards. How about that? How about that? I would gladly give that up. I would sacrifice that if he comes after gay marriage to overturn it. I would happily give that up to invalidate his marriage. But that's all I got for right now. I'm going to go back and finish Beyond the Gates and this week's episode of The Amazing Race. And then I got to go to bed. See you all. Take care. Have a good night. If you can tolerate it, sleep with the windows open. Make sure you might have a blanket because it's supposed to get in the 40s tonight. But it's supposed to be a beautiful Friday and Saturday. So be sure and get out. See you guys. Go Chiefs. Go Panthers.